And while you're at it, snag a power washer for the house and the driveway. And if you're putting in a sprinkler system, they have the small trencher that you need. And you can even rent a Skag zero-turn mower and much more to get your property in shape. Valley Equipment, not just for the contractor, but the homeowner as well. 2 locations on the North and South Parkway. Valley Equipment Rental. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com. Tom Abraham back from my friend Ross Roberts at Valley Equipment Rental. It's springtime, so let's get that garden tilled with a tiller from Valley Equipment. And while you're at it, snag a power washer for the house and the driveway. And if you're putting in a sprinkler system, they have the small trencher that you need. And you can even rent a Skag zero-turn mower and much more to get your property in shape. Valley Equipment, not just for the contractor, but the homeowner as well. 2 locations on the North and South Parkway. Valley Equipment Rental. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 977 ESPN The Zone. Joe Hunk, John Abraham, 256-576-4977. Welcome to the Blitz.
Hello and welcome in to the Blitz. John Abraham here with you. No Joe Hunk today. He's still dealing with the thing that we call birth and a child. I don't know. He's pregnant with his wife. So he's going to be out of the box for a week. He'll be back on Tuesday. But for today, it's just going to be me riding in the boat. And I got a special guest I will introduce here in a second that's helping out with the show. He's done it before. He knows what he's doing. He's a veteran. And we're going to get this thing off and rolling on a Tuesday here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, as well as on ESPN Winchester and WZZN TV. Make sure you guys check that out over on YouTube as well as on X and over on our Facebook. Now, I will say this is a totally different type of show that we're going to be rocking today, because yesterday it was already a totally different show, but we've done it before in the form of me and Steve, and of course we had our fun and games. But now, since we have only a select few amount of people that are able to run the board and also able to produce a show and go and actually entertain the people, we're really getting down to everybody in the crew to help out this show off and rolling. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a little bit. But make sure you guys head on over to our Big Zone Deals site. Get yourself some Big Zone deals, because you're going to be missing out on them. If not, there's a select few over there on our website. You look for the Big Zone deals, tap on that, and you'll get taken to 50% off deals, whether it's food, which I know you guys love, or on top of that, a little bit of fun, either at a golf course or maybe over at the Flow Supreme Air, and so much more. Now, I was talking about the special guest. He's going to actually be the special producer for a few of the shows this week, and it is a guy that helped out just a little bit ago when me and Drew were on site over at the Red Crest Outdoor Expo. It is the Temple Master. It is Brian Temple. Brian!
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you doing today?
It's been quite some time since I've worked a shift this early.
Yeah.
I spent a wonderful 15 and a half years working the morning show at WAFF. And it's one of those things where at this hour of the morning, you get used to it, but you never get used to it.
Yeah.
You learn how to deal with it, but you never really get used to it. So this, here I am complaining. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and I'm calling it too early, but I've become soft in my old age, but it's fun to be here. I always hear you guys. I'm a regular listener to the second hour, so it's fun to be here for this.
That's the best hour.
Yeah.
It's also the final hour.
Right. Well, but it's final hour, best hour.
Exactly.
I can't do it the way Joe does, but you know what? You guys are solid for me, filling in for me a few times. So, I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here as well, because this is going to be a lot of fun. It's always nice to change up the show's dynamic a little bit, but it is going to be kind of interesting because, Brian, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you've listened to the show before, okay, obviously. But the music that we come back with, Steve thought it was going to be a problem for you. Steve thought it was going to just like totally shiver your timbers.
You would not believe how many milk crates I have of music. I'm known for my music. And I pull out some stuff. I try to bring in something every week that nobody's heard of.
Okay.
So I expect to do the same to you. just kind of keep you guessing. But you guys were bobbing your heads at the golf classic.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I did all right.
Yeah, we got a
I mean, you
wide
keep
range.
inviting me back, so
Yeah. We got a wide range of music in our arsenal. The thing is, the music that Joe set up for this song, it all extremely bops. So it's something that I would be riding down, Cali with. I'd be having a wonderful time with it.
Some of us have to use liquid to get started in the day. Some people use music. I mean, it's 9:00. You're getting settled into the office and want to hear this. And you need a little pick me up, and you're trying to work your way the long day's journey into lunch. So I got to keep things moving.
Yeah, no doubt about
that.
For it. Yeah, and we're going to keep it moving today with Eric Henry from Horns 247. Get a little bit of information from him. I feel like a lot of people were focused on the Sanders and the Cam Wards and the Travis Hunters this weekend. That they totally forgot about one guy that at one point was the number one prospect going into college football. That was Quinn Ewers. And he, of course, fell to the 7th round. He was one of the final quarterbacks to be picked. And although Texas had a wonderful draft class, I believe it was up to, 12 or 13? They were sitting second behind Georgia. You still forgot about one of the guys that was the main reason they were as good as they were, and that was Quinn Ewers. And yes, there were plenty of quarterbacks that you could see get picked in the 3rd and the 4th round, but at the same time, Quinn Ewers was a guy that looked like one of the best returning quarterbacks, and he could have even returned yet again, maybe not to Texas, but to some other school for maybe a few million. Now he's looking at a 4-year contract where he'll be making just a little under $1 million. We also have some interesting news coming out of the Canadian Football League. And yes, I knew you probably wouldn't expect that coming out of my mouth today. We're not talking Canadian Football League, but we are going to talk a little bit more Shedeur Sanders and the options that he might have moving forward, whether he wants to be a Cleveland Browns or he wants to go up to Canada just a little bit more north.
You think he might go to Canada?
I don't think he will. I really don't think he will. But
I've got some thoughts about Shedeur Sanders. I'd love to share them with you here later.
I'd love to hear them as well. That would be very nice.
Well,
I don't think Shedeur is going to take a Canadian football job. Look, he's already going to be making little money going into the NFL. And I say little money, he's still making NFL money. He's still going to be able to buy a house. He's still going to be able to sell plenty of merch.
Yeah.
Because, of course, this is Shedeur Sanders we're talking about.
Right.
He's already got his own brand as well as a dad that's in the Hall of Fame. So he's set. He's fine. But if the Canadian Football League comes knocking, and that's another avenue to maybe get back into the NFL, maybe on a team that old Daddy Sanders might want him to go to, then maybe it's an option. But again, the highest paid quarterbacks in the Canadian Football League make even less than some of the 7th round rookies that go into the NFL.
I think he's got a great opportunity here to get in there. I mean, the Browns are full of quarterbacks.
Yes.
And so I think it's a great idea. I mean, even at the NFL level, at the pro level, you've got room to learn and to sit back and to handle some of this intangible stuff that seems to, kind of makes people's stomachs a little bit queasy about picking a Shedeur Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good time for him and to really show up and show out. And so maybe he doesn't go and show out that big for the Browns, but maybe he gets noticed by somebody else. And so a year or two down the road, he gets the deal he wants. He's basically in the NFL as a freshman.
Yeah.
And so now he's got to earn his stripes.
No doubt.
He's done all right. I mean, he's been hot and cold there, Colorado, but I mean, coming up, he's got a chance to do this here and really invent himself and, make the walk match the talk and really make himself valuable and make him something people want to get. And, maybe he doesn't play for the Browns. Maybe he plays for somebody else. Maybe goes down to Jerry's World, and repeats what Neon Dion did. Who knows?
You could see that happening. I mean, they do like those quarterbacks that fail in the NFL, but have a lot of oomph going in.
Yeah, but we know how the Abrahams love the Browns.
Yes.
So, I mean, this could be good for them too. And, so who knows? I mean, I just think that it's when you're the new guy, you put your head down, you look around, see what works, see what doesn't, and see where you need to improve. And it's you're playing at a whole new level.
Yeah.
And if you've been a whale in a bathtub somewhere else and someone drops you in the ocean, all of a sudden you're a minnow again. Time to learn.
If you are the Cleveland Browns, though, you are throwing as much crap at the wall until it sticks. Okay. Because this has been something that's been going on for so long. And instead of getting one first round quarterback, you decide to get 2 third, fourth round quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Now you have more options to kind of work with. And with the success of Brock Purdy as mystery irrelevant just a few years back, that kind of gives other teams hope. And of course, some of the best quarterbacks come in those late rounds. Tom Brady being one of those quarterbacks. And as long as they have the development that they need getting into the NFL, then they might be able to fall into that type of category. For Shedeur, do I think he could find success in the NFL? Of course.
Absolutely.
Is it going to be instantaneous? Hell no.
Heck no.
But thankfully, he's got a guy like Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Maybe not listen to the guy named Deshaun Watson. But then he's got a guy like Kenny Pickett, who has also had experience as a starting quarterback for an organization straight out the gates. He's going to get both sides of the coin right here. So
he's got some really good mentors.
Exactly.
There. He'll just listen.
Yeah, and maybe not listen to everything that Kenny Pickett's got to say, but listen to what he's got to say, because
That's all things. Hold fast to what is good. I mean, just you're good. You pick and choose and know what's good. And it's talking about throwing things against the wall. The walls are pretty dirty at the Browns. So I mean,
it's brown. It's actually all brown.
Exactly. So I mean, it's an opportunity here for him to Everybody says you go to school in the first one. Well, go to school for a little bit.
Yeah. And
continuing education.
And see what we're doing, Brian, is continuing to talk about Shedeur because it's such an interesting topic. And we forget about Quinn Ewers yet again, as of course he is the new Dolphins backup quarterback. We're going to figure out a little bit more about that and more from Eric Henry over at Horns 247. But these rookies might show up, but they might not do a good job. Fleming Roofing and Restoration, on the other hand, will show up and do a wonderful job. These are the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. Now, for ESPN Winchester listeners, we invite you to call into the show 256-576-4. There you go, Brian. He's already well equipped.
A little late on the trigger there.
It's all good. You're doing a bunch of different things. It's the way of the producer. But you are getting in the 4, and I very much appreciate that. But for the Tennessee fans, we will be talking very heavily about the Tennessee Titans as well as the Tennessee Volunteers in the second hour. So make sure you guys also download the apps because we will not be on WCDT in the second hour, but you can still be locked in to all thing Blitz and 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Just look up the app on Apple and Android devices. And while you're at it, for everybody, you might as well just download the Talk Radio WZZN app as well. It is free, and it is also the home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
But tonight,
the Titans, obviously, the big talk, Cam Ward, but the rest of their draft class looks really good, and I do want to go over it, and I know Joe Hunk's going to be kicking because he's not in studio to talk with me about it, but I have my own grades for those guys, as well as a wonderful conversation with Ryan Callahan from GoVols 247 coming up in the second hour. Brian.
Sir.
I had to relate with you earlier, okay? Whenever you came in, I was talking, we brought up Talladega.
Oh, yeah.
And it turns out you actually have a really good tie to it. The only tie that I got to it is a cigarette burn from the other day.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Because I was walking next to an Irishman and he forgot, and I didn't even realize he had a cigarette in his hand, and we brushed up together, and I accidentally burnt myself. But I don't feel too much pain. So
well,
what
do you expect for a place that used to be the Winston Cup?
Yeah, exactly. And you said you actually had some experiences with Talladega yourself.
Well, I grew up about 40 minutes away in the bustling metropolis of Anniston, Alabama. Where the elite meet.
Yeah.
And so we would always, the thing is everything shuts down in all of Calhoun and Talladega counties during race weekend, spring race, fall race. Everything it's just packed, and a huge mass of humanity descends upon Talladega. Or
inhumanity, depends on which way you want to look at it.
Here's the thing, and I grew up there in the 70s and 80s, and from what I don't have any personal experience, from what I understand, that the infield at Talladega rivals some of the best stories from the snake pit at Indianapolis.
Yeah. Look, I've gotten to go to Nashville. I've walked down the boulevard. I've gotten to go to, Dallas just recently, and that was fun, but I didn't obviously delve into any of the devious acts.
Huh.
At Talladega, it doesn't matter if you try and dodge the devious acts or not. It's still going to kind of happen.
Right.
I went down into the center field, walked plenty, and honestly, it's kind of crazy how much I walked because I entered through, I believe it was the north side. No, the south side, and went all the way to the north side to where there's the little Slim Jims sign that they had up there.
Right.
And I actually kissed the track, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm so excited for tomorrow's race.
Yeah.
And then it never happened. The party itself, though, they had a concert, country music singers out there, a whole bunch of people lined up in the infield. And I was like, is this home? Like, is this what I love? I get home from the event because I don't go to the race.
Right.
Tom, you already belittled me and the old lady enough. So, you know, I could easily get back to you because of this show right here, but I'm not going to because I'm the bigger man. We enjoyed our time. That's all that matters.
That's what matters.
But when I got home, first thing I thought was, when can I go back?
Right. It's intoxicating. It really is when you're there. Because see, my experience was with my dad helping some stuff in an earlier iteration of the Motorsports Hall of Fame and gift shop there and their point of sale stuff.
Yeah.
So we got to go a little bit of the VIP thing, which is understandable. But when we were leaving there and coming down, you're about halfway down. We didn't go all the way to the fence, but I mean, you're halfway down, and then all of a sudden the smell of the leaded fuel and burning tires and all this stuff, and the crowd's just screaming, and it's just a cacophony of things, and it's intoxicating. It is absolute. At that point I go, I get it why this is awesome, and it's good, but but you have to really want to.
Yeah.
And and again, it's a whole different era. Racing is so much different now than when it was then. It was so much more there back to its roots of the Alabama boys and all this stuff, and all the real true stock car, and you still had a few people who were still driving their race cars to the track, racing it, and then driving it home. And you get real into the spirit of that. Those locals know about the dirt track that was across the interstate there. That was the true spirit of old NASCAR for like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And guys with cigarettes hanging out of their mouth, and they're
we
like 30 minutes before the race, they got the hood up, trying to figure something out, and they're over there like beating stuff with hammers and stuff. I mean, just doing that.
Just the sounds, the smells, the noises. I mean, all of that stuff culminated into one is something that will make you want to go back. And although NASCAR is not as gritty as it once was,
right, the soul is still there.
You still get the soul, and
the soul. I mean, the heart of rock and roll is still beating in there,
and you still feel all of the racers that have gone on that track, the speeds that they've gone, and then whenever you see the cars go around in a circle 188 times, you're thinking, I was pretty bored at the end of the race, but I will say this, I want to come back because you're itching for the big one. And although it didn't happen this past week, there's definitely a chance it'll happen in October, similar to how it was last year. And you also get plenty of those other things that you might have said.
I would encourage anybody to go once.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll find out really quick, and that's not me, but then or you'll be hooked. And it's a whole different experience. If you've ever been to an SEC football game, any SEC football game, if you've ever been to the actual game there in the stadium, in the arena, at the track, it's a whole different experience, and it is intoxicating.
I'm talking about a race that I didn't even get to watch, but I did watch it on TV. I just didn't get to actually sit in the seats. You know what? I said I wasn't going to stoop to Tom's level. One time when we were supposed to be going on our spring break, man decided to get, what is it? Kidney stones? Yeah, kidney stones. Yeah, and I know it's not fun.
Dare he?
How dare he?
How dare he?
Woke us all up. We were in Macon, Georgia. Woke us all up in the motel. He was screaming, he was kicking, he was shivering, all of that at 4:00 in the morning. I was looking forward to my vacation. It's the only one I get a year. I was in high school or middle school at the time, and you know what he did? He said, we got to turn around. So we turned around, went home. I would have never done that.
Yeah.
You know who would have never left the Texas football game? Eric Henry.
Oh, absolutely not.
From Horns 247.
Looking forward to meeting him.
As we hop into our first break, Eric Henry coming up to talk a little bit of Texas football, Texas baseball on the other side here on the Blitz.
Would you call a plumber for a root canal? The same goes for selling your timberland or farm. Choose someone who understands your property and can help you on the front end so you can capitalize on the back end. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction. As a guide, I have put many hunters in position to take a shot. It's time for you to take your shot. Let's talk about putting you in position to sell your property. Call me at 256-609-0512. Remember, Bo knows land.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted best wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying roll tide and war eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
I'm Jeff Jr., founder and CEO of Trajan Wealth. I was born and raised in northern Wisconsin by both my father, who owned a small 10-lane bowling alley, and my mother, who was a nurse, who did her best caring for everyone in our small town. My parents stressed with me that if you were going to do anything, it needed to be done right or not done at all. I later joined the Marine Corps, where additional values were instilled. Values like honor, courage, and commitment. The motto of the Marine Corps, Semper Fi, which means always faithful. The best part of Trajan Wealth, our 100-plus employees who also embrace the exact same values. If your current financial advisor is more interested in selling you something or is more loyal to their own financial gain than yours, give us a call for a second opinion. We would be honored to hear from you. Call Trajan today, 256-208-9000. That's 256-208-9000.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
It just works. Picture this. You're at home doing whatever it is you do. Then the power goes out. Then what? Well, at my house, life goes on. We have a Generac automatic home standby generator from Current Electrical and Generator Services. For your home security and peace of mind, get a free personal consultation on how a Generac automatic home standby generator can protect you. Current Electrical and Generator Services. Call or visit us on the web at HuntsvilleGenerators.com. You've got the power.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Relatively warm as we head into the overnight and to the early part of your Wednesday morning. Temperatures only dropping into the low and mid-60s. A partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky as we head into your Wednesday afternoon. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. But to be quite honest, that activity is going to be somewhat difficult to come by. Most of us are going to stay dry. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-80s. A couple of degrees above where we should be this time of year as we get ready to close out the month of April. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The best in local sports talk from the 256. We are local.
When you're number one, you don't have to worry.
We are award-winning. Thank you for listening. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You'll be set for life.
Welcome back into the Blitz. John Abraham, Brian Temple, bringing you 2 hours straight of sports talk, courtesy of Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Brian, how was the first song? Is it bopping enough?
You know, I'm over here nodding my head, man. It's
there you go. There you go.
It wouldn't have been my first choice, but you know, I wouldn't know where to look, and but I mean, you know, I wouldn't have known what I was listening for. I'm fixing to expand my Spotify playlist.
There you go, Steve.
You've made a convert.
Look at what happens whenever you switch around the lineup just a little bit. Brian Temple, of course, sitting in for Joe Hunk, helping me out throughout the week because of Joe Hunk and his brand new baby. So congratulations to him. If you guys want to call in, 256-576-9777 to congratulate Joe Hunk as well.
You guys are densely populated.
Very much can.
Y'all are densely populated. The Abrahams, the neighbors, Hunks, you just keep increasing your fold.
Just keep popping out kids. I couldn't do it.
You know, my wife makes me wash my hands
before
I come home.
Yeah.
With you guys. There's so many of you.
Well, there's so many Texas Longhorns that got drafted that it's kind of hard to keep up with them, but it does break a record of, Texas Longhorns past. And on top of that, it also included a 7th-round surprise in the form of Quinn Ewers. And to help us talk a little bit more about this Texas Longhorns team, not just in the football landscape, because their baseball team's pretty happy as well after this past weekend, Eric Henry from Horns 247 is kind enough to join us. Eric, how are you doing, man? It's been a minute.
It has. Good morning. Appreciate you having me back on.
Yeah, no doubt. And the reason I got you on is because we got to focus on a little bit of the draft to get a little bit of the input from you, as well as talk a little bit about the weekend in baseball. We will get to that momentarily, but I do want to focus on the Texas Longhorns because, of course, it was a huge weekend. Plenty of draft picks. Kind of run it down for us. What does this mean for the Longhorns in the long run? Because, again, this is breaking some records over there.
Yeah, listen, the biggest thing, and Steve Sarkisian said it, so I'm not going to sit here and try and take credit for it, but he, in essence, has kind of pointed to the draft last year and this as being the biggest infomercial as to his Texas football program.
Mm-hmm.
The draft, the NFL Combine, when you send record numbers of players to the Combine, 17 they sent this year, you have another record in terms of NFL draft picks. It certainly is a ringing endorsement and, a real just putting it out there saying, hey, come to Texas, you can get developed. And the thing that is pretty interesting to me when you look at the draft class, not just this year, but last year as well, is Texas's ability to do one of two things, not one of two things, to do both of these things. One, recruit talent and develop them into NFL draft picks, but also we know that the transfer portal can be a bit of a crapshoot, right? Everyone talks about the transfer portal and NIL, they talk about dollar figures, but at the end of the day, right, most of these kids, you'd have to believe, are making this decision, at least at the power conference level, are making the decision thinking that that is going to get them one step closer to their NFL dream. Not just this year, but last year as well. Texas has had multiple players who came from the transfer portal, came to Texas, and ended up fulfilling that dream of being selected in the NFL draft. So I think overall, the biggest takeaway, unless you start getting to individual draft picks, but the biggest takeaway is just this being an infomercial for Texas football.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I like the way you bring up the transfer portal because when it comes down to it, I mean, you look at the quarterbacks that were drafted and all of them except for 2 stayed with or jumped around from team to team throughout their college career. To utilize it in the best way possible. And that's why we saw so many of them get picked, not in day one, but in the entirety of the NFL draft.
Yeah, and listen, it's really interesting to think about the quarterback situation there, right? And of course, we'll get to Quinn Ewers. He certainly is one of those, well, technically a transfer, right? We all know Quinn eventually would have ended up at Texas, certainly the school he wanted to be at. But no, it's interesting you mentioned that with the quarterback situation. I think this year is kind of unique, right? In the sense that you have a Cam Ward who, again, I don't want to shade any of his previous programs, kind of did the transfer thing and what you traditionally would think it was, right?
Yeah.
Transferred up, starting his career at Incarnate Word, then goes to Washington State. You have the collapse of the Pac-12, right? So he then, again, makes the decision to transfer to Miami. So you have, situations like that. Even Shedeur Sanders, right? And of course, maybe the draft didn't turn out the way he would have liked, but I think the thing that people, forget with Shedeur, and I'll just make this point real quick, so I'm here to talk Texas. I was covering Conference USA when Shedeur Sanders committed to FAU, right? So for or Florida Atlantic, I guess for those who may not be familiar with the initials there. So for anyone who wants to look at Shedeur and quote unquote his talents, right? Even he is a product of someone who transferred up, went to Jackson State, and of course followed his father to Colorado. So yeah, that's interesting with the quarterbacks that at least in this year's draft they all kind of transferred up traditionally as opposed to going from power school to power school.
Yeah, unlike one guy we just saw transfer yet again, Jaden Rashada, Sacramento State. I mean, it doesn't work for everybody. I mean, the same could be said for a guy like TJ Finley, who has the metrics to be a starting quarterback in college, but just has not been able to really find a home. And it's not just because of his play on field, but also his off-field ideas of fun, I guess. But regardless, I do want to look at Quinn Ewers. This was a guy that was rated similarly to a guy like Vince Young, which you know very well. But of course, with everybody really focusing on the Sanders and the Cam Wards of the world, It just seemed like one Mr. Ewers was kind of left out, and of course drafted in the 7th round to the Miami Dolphins. Talk a little bit about your feelings on that and why that was the case in the first place.
Yeah, and really quick, I don't know if it's me or on your guys, and broke up a little bit, but I caught the gist of your question, which was about Quinn and him falling to the 7th round. Going to Miami, right? You talked about the fact that he was, one of the highest rated quarterbacks from, my publication, 24/7 Sports, and one of the highest rated quarterbacks that Texas has signed since Vince Young. Listen, it all depends on what prism you want to view Quinn's career through, right? I saw a tweet, and it for whatever reason, it rubbed me the wrong way. A tweet that said, was Quinn Ewers the biggest misevaluation in the history of the modern recruiting era? I don't understand how a kid who led his team to back-to-back college football playoff semifinals, one game away from playing for a national title, threw for over 9,000 yards, 60-something touchdowns, 24 interceptions, how that's a misevaluation. Okay, all right, let's take this piece by piece. If you want to say that 5-star ranking, that number 1 overall recruit ranking means that you are supposed to be the number 1 pick, I can understand that, right? If that's your definition of this was a miss, then okay. Then anything short of that, right, or anything short of being a first-round pick was, in essence, going to be a misevaluation. However, if you look at Quinn's career in totality, right, he has been injury-prone. Let's not act as if that didn't play a factor. That's step 1. Step 2, you can make the argument that Quinn underachieved in Steve Sarkisian's offense, an offense that is very quarterback-friendly. Not saying you can plug anybody in there, right, but it is quarterback-friendly. You can say that. However, I point this out to anyone who wants to look at things. Had Quinn left last year, he probably is a 3rd or 4th round pick, right? So there's that aspect there. The second aspect of it is Quinn clearly wasn't healthy. I will bang the drum again. Clearly was not healthy playing through what ended up being a torn oblique, not just an oblique strain. Okay, there's the second aspect of it. If you look at Quinn Ewers when he has been healthy, and you pair that with his physical capabilities, I think getting him in the 7th round is a steal. Personally, that's just me. I'm not sitting here saying that okay, he should have been the 1st overall pick, but to act as if it was some horrible misevaluation, there have been players who've been 5-star recruits who end up at JUCO. All right, so trying to project what an 18-year-old is going to do in 4 years and turn 22. I don't care if it's football or life. That's a crapshoot. All right. Yeah. So that's kind of my POV there.
No doubt about that. Eric Henry from Horns 247 is our guest. And yeah, looking at a guy that's thrown for 3,500 yards pretty much in his last 2 years in college football, you'd think that this is going to be one of the hottest pickups. And for the Miami Dolphins, of course, they might need that with Tua Tagovailoa and his injury proneness. But that is a totally different story in and of itself. We'll be following Quinn throughout his career. Definitely look for success, but there's also, he might not have been able to find success completely in this Steve Sarkisian offense. But you talk about you can't just throw anybody in there. Well, you can throw a Manning in there, and it looks like that is the future. Real quick, just talk about what you got to see from the spring on the young Arch Manning.
Yeah. No, I'll be super quick here on this one. We only actually got one spring availability. Steve Sarkisian to keep things a little close to the vest there here in Austin. But no, I mean, you saw, and when we spoke with Arch, I think the biggest takeaway for me from the spring, yes, you saw all the physical, traits, physical ability. I mean, that's apparent. You saw that last year when he took the field, right? But Arch really coming into his own, as a leader, right? This is a team that lost a lot of veterans. When you have double-digit players drafted the last 2 years, you're going to lose a lot of leadership, right? They need Arch, especially on offense, to step up and grow into his voice. Neil Brown, former West Virginia head coach, is on staff as a special assistant. He's almost been working with Arch exclusively, just getting him to grow as a leader. I'll make this point real quick and get you out of here. Arch said, and it was kind of enlightening for, adults like us, we get this, right? But for someone who is, I believe, just turned 20, I think his birthday is 27th, we turned 20 over this weekend, Neil Brown telling him, hey, just find a position group that you don't really talk to. Not the offensive linemen. Find, maybe, the tight ends or maybe, the defensive tackles. Take them out to dinner. And Arch noted that, something as simple as that, just branching out of his comfort zone and talking to different guys we wouldn't normally interact with really helped him grow as a leader. So my big takeaway from that is Arch really embracing the responsibility of filling the shoes of Quinn Ewers' leadership and making this his team.
Yeah, and definitely feel like that is a good way to get thrown into the fire. I mean, you have a guy that is a veteran, of course, in Quinn Ewers, and then you get that guidance. And now for a guy like Arch Manning, you've got these newfangled movements that all the NFL scouts love in a quarterback. And also you've got a little bit of that pocket presence that we saw from a guy like Quinn Ewers. But going back over to the draft just real quick, of course, we talked about Quinn Ewers, where he got picked. I'm really hot on the offense when it comes down to it, man. Gunnar Helm, Jaden Blue, they both get picked number 120 for Helm. He's going to the Titans, and of course, Jaden Blue to the Dallas Cowboys. Let's stick with Gunnar Helm. What are the Titans getting in this guy? Because he looked like an absolute beast in a Longhorns uniform.
I'll give you a real quick backstory on Gunnar Helm, okay? Kid's the 3-star recruit, was the lowest rated position player in his class, works his way up, is just used primarily as a blocking tight end his first few years. After JT Sanders graduates and, of course, is selected by Carolina, he goes to Jeff Banks, position coach, and says, what do I got to do to round out my game? Challenges Helm to be a better athlete. Not only does he just become a better athlete, guys, again, this was a guy who only had 18 career catches entering this year.
Oh, yeah.
He sets the Texas program record for receptions and receiving yards by a tight end, improves his athleticism, getting just all the stereotypical things you could say, but they're real, right? These are not cliches. Lunch pail, hard hat guy. Gunnar is, in my mind, a steal, a value pick in the 4th round. So you're getting someone who, from a physicality standpoint, isn't afraid to get in there and block, has improved as a receiver. And listen, when you got a rookie quarterback, you want to give him, a nice little safety blanket. There's someone who operates over the middle of the field. Gunnar Helm really excels at that, especially with his size, 6'5", 250. So I think that's going to be a nice fit for him in Tennessee.
Oh, he's definitely going to give those tight ends in the room a little bit of a run for their money. I would say right out the gates. And then the final draft question, not really a draft question, but just a player question. This is on Isaiah Bond. And I know a lot of people in our area know this kid very well, of course, with his 2 years at Alabama, but transfers over to Texas. Not really finding the same success. And then on top of that, some legal troubles. But he does find himself a little bit of a home, maybe, possibly within the NFL. But, of course, he's got to really show out and have good behavior to make a team. But final thoughts on Isaiah Bond as he leaves college and heads on to his future in the pros.
It's tricky, like you said, right? Isaiah Bond, the situation there. Let's take the off-field situation out for a second. He got to Texas and was expected to be the number 1 receiver. And midway through the year, gotten banged up, had a knee, had kind of an ankle. It probably didn't it probably didn't help his cause. Let's try this again. The fact that Matthew Golden really emerged as the number 1 receiver down the stretch, right? Again, yes, a lot of that was because of injury, but for whatever reason, Matt Golden just kind of emerged as having that, greater synergy with Quinn Ewers. It always felt like IB and Quinn were just trying to get on the same page, just a hair off, just a tick off, when they try to connect down the field. So, on the field, he probably didn't put forth the best showing. And with Matthew Golden emerging as wide receiver 1, it probably had him viewed a certain way. And then, of course, you factor in his legal case, his legal situation, being accused of a sexual assault. That's certainly not going to help your case either. It'd be interesting to see where he lands, if anywhere. I know right now, last I checked, there was some talk about Dallas and talk about the teams, but I would say this, and I'm not trying to downplay his off-field situation. I think there's room for hey, we'll bring you in, and you get your off-field stuff straightened out, and you got a home.
Yeah.
If you don't have your off-field stuff straightened out, we're gonna act like we didn't know you, right? I think there's room for that type of situation with IB.
Yeah, no doubt. I think whenever it comes down to Isaiah Bond, I think he's got the skill set. But if he's able to clean up everything else, he's going to be able to find himself at a stable home, unlike where he's at right now, where, there's probably a home out there in the NFL, but not one solidified for him just yet. Eric Henry from Horns 247 is our guest. And now I'm going to let you breathe a little bit on this one because I know this one is it's a fun topic to get into. And of course, it's going to be the Longhorns facing off against the Aggies. Jim Schlossnagle gets the face off against his former team, and it goes so good for the Texas Longhorns.
you couldn't have asked for a better outing. I mean, to win 3 one-run games against the hated Aggies, rival Aggies. Listen, I understand that A&M came in, I think it was 24-16 when the series started, or 24-17 after being rated ranked number one in the nation. But you're still talking about a really talented team and all of the things, all of the hoopla that went into this, right? You know, Jim Schlossnagle facing off against his old club, all of the Aggie fans coming in. I'll give you a quick note. As I was leaving the ballpark, I noted, you know, and I don't claim to see Jim leave the ballpark every night. However, I feel pretty confident that he's not leaving, you know, tonight's game against Prairie View A&M with a Texas State trooper on his hip, right? As he did the way he exited the ballpark Friday night, just for, you know, precautionary purposes. But yeah, the way his team came out, you know, Ruger Riojas has been just what a find, getting a kid from UTSA who wasn't a full-time starter, steps in and has given this team tremendous value there. Ethan Mendoza, transfer from Arizona State, you know, really setting the table to leadoff spot. And just real quick, you know, this team is doing it without arguably their best position player in Max Ballou, right? The last year's reigning Big 12 Player of the Year goes down with a season-ending injury. They're hopeful they can get him back by the time the postseason starts, but just continue to have guys step up. Whether it's Jonah Williams, the 5-star recruit on both the gridiron and the diamond, steps up, fills in the outfield. Riojas, you know, Luke Harrison on the mound. This team, Jim Schlossnagle referred to it as the grittiest team he's ever coached. And quite frankly, I think we're getting pretty close to being able to say it's one of the best teams he's ever coached as he tries to find that elusive national title.
Well, no doubt about that. And I'm loving watching everything that I've seen from the Longhorns, and they got a good challenge next week going to Arkansas. Fayetteville, going to be a tough environment, but shouldn't be too tricky for this Texas Longhorns team. But what info do you got on this one?
I'm sorry, I missed the back end of that question. Can you repeat it one more time?
Oh, going to Arkansas to face off against one of the wildest crowds as well as teams in the SEC, which I don't know how, but that is actually close to second place and third place within the SEC because it's all just so compact right now.
Yeah, no. In terms of going to Arkansas, it's a great place. It's actually interesting you mentioned that because we spoke with Jim actually last Thursday, right? And he wasn't trying to, you know, downplay the series with A&M, right? But he said that not only A&M, but having to go to Arkansas, that's one of the wildest, you know, environments to go to. And the Arkansas-Texas rivalry, is just as heated if you talk to, you know, Razorbacks fans, right? As it is at A&M and Texas. So that's going to be going into an interesting environment as well. And again, I think it's going to be really interesting is the team losing Jared Spencer, the Indiana State transfer, who was their Friday night guy. They're still trying to figure out the rotation a little bit, right? As I mentioned, Ruger Riojas started Friday night against A&M, but Sunday kind of took a hit. They went with true freshman Jason Flores. He didn't even make it out of the second inning, right? So I think for this team, if they're going to win, continue to win SEC series as they have been undefeated this year, we're going to have to figure out that Sunday starter, but also hope that just the pitching as a whole holds up. But yeah, that's going to be a fun one to watch, no doubt.
Oh, most likely, I'm going to have it on the TV. I mean, if NASCAR is going to be in Texas, and you know, that's the one thing I could say. I'd say Texas doesn't do it better. I'm not a fan of Texas motor sport or whatever it's called, but regardless, this is going to be one to definitely keep an eye on this weekend. But Eric, I appreciate you hopping on with us. It's been very fun. I now know everything that's going down moving into the draft. And on top of that, a little bit more about the baseball inside. Let the people know where they can also get that inside from you.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter or X at EricCHenry_ and find my coverage of the Texas Longhorns at horns247.com and 247sports.com.
Heck yeah. Eric, always great, man. Looking forward to next time.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Great stuff as always. Eric Henry from Horns 247. Isaiah Bond's got a future. He just might need to clean some things up, and that could be said for a lot of different players, like the one we've been talking about nonstop, Shedeur, which for whatever reason they're throwing up. Is Shedeur going to be this day one starter for the Cleveland Browns? Look, it is a reasonable conversation to have. But come on, on the TVs, on First Take, on ESPN, I don't want to have to see that. Hey, you know what? More attention to the Browns, and if they crash and burn, then I'm going to feel the exact same way I did last year and the year before that. and the time that they got Johnny Manziel. And that one time, Trent Richardson, I've made my point. Regardless, we'll take it to break off of that. 256-576. 97.7, the number to get in to react to everything Eric Henry had to say and more. We'll be right back here on The Blitz.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Braves over the Rockies 6-3 yesterday at Coors Field in Denver. The Rockies have dropped 7 straight and 15 of 16. They have the worst record of the major leagues at 4-24. Braves today $1.98 favorite. Rockies plus 164. 11 under the total at Coors Field in Denver. Kyle Larson and William Byron, the 6-1 co-favorites, win the NASCAR Cup Series race this week at Texas. They're both 6-1. Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, both plus 750. Ryan Blaney 8-1. Journalism, the 3-1 favorite with the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at SensaGreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
And
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures consistently climbing into the upper 70s and lower 80s across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee, just about or just above where we should be this time of year. Maybe an isolated shower develops through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening, but that activity is going to be somewhat difficult to come by. Staying warm as we head into the overnight, temperatures only dropping into the low and mid 60s. Much the same as we head into your Wednesday, a partly sunny to mostly cloudy sky. Temperatures consistently climbing into the low and mid 80s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Never miss 1 second of Charger baseball with the Charger Zone.
Wendell, Knowles, scoop by Lindsay, 6, 4, 3, double play, and UAH is 1 out away.
Only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app.
Hit
it. I'll never not bob my head to this one. I think everybody's bopping their head to this one.
I like to kick it old school.
I like you kicking it old school. It's a different vibe altogether, but you know what? It matches what the Blitz is all about. And that's having a fun time. Either way, welcome back into the show. Just got done with a wonderful conversation with Eric Henry. This one's going in my playlist again. I'm very selective about the liked songs on my Spotify. But this one never gets old. You know what does get old, though? The conversation about Shedeur Sanders, but I'm still going to talk about it. The Toronto Argonauts have added Shedeur Sanders to their negotiation list. That means they've got first dibs on the young quarterback. And honestly, this is the first time it seems like a team actually wants him on, the future list. It's the Argonauts we're talking about. This is an actual coveted Canadian football team that we're getting into. But that means straight up, if it doesn't work out with the Browns, hey, you know what? If it doesn't work out with the rest of the NFL, he's got a home at the CFL. So he'll be making money regardless of where he goes. And I wanted to feel bad about this. All right. Just whenever he was just falling in the draft, I wanted to get to the point where I was just like, dang, man, everybody was hyping this guy up. And at the end of the day, it finally came to me. I was like, it was just a good Colorado quarterback. And I didn't want to disrespect anybody who was on the show yesterday. We had a former head coach on from Colorado. But I mean, again, Colorado's looked at a little bit different than any of the teams in the SEC. And of course, the Big Ten, who of course had 71 picks in the NFL draft, whereas teams from the Big 12, it was a lot less. It was a huge drop off. But yeah, he was solid. He's also just a Colorado quarterback, but he's Deion Sanders' son, so it's a pretty big deal. And that big deal landed in the 5th round. Regardless of that, there's still more conversation about him out there than the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, which is Cam Ward, which we will talk about the rest of those picks that the Tennessee Titans made in the second hour. So again, if you were listening up in Winchester, we sadly will not be on WCDT, but you guys make sure you download the app or hop on our YouTube over at WZZN TV to watch the shows. Not easy for me to say. Regardless, we already got the comments rolling over there. Daniel got in a Roll Tide. He always does. And Matthew gave us the good old morning. And apparently he also said that the UFL is looking at him as well, which I wouldn't doubt that. But similar to
I don't think that has as much stink on it as you think. But let's go look at
it's even
basketball.
less money that we're talking there.
Yeah, but I mean, you go to school in your first year anyway. Yeah. So I mean, why not go to school out of state? And I mean, let's talk to in basketball. We talk to Richard Hendricks all the time. He made a pretty good career playing in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't think there's any stink on it. I think it's all right. You go, you earn some chops, and you learn some stuff.
Yeah.
And then you live in Canada, and then you come back. I mean, you get looked at again.
Yeah.
And then you've got something to show on a pro level for all these people you want to go play for.
We've seen it times and times again, though, where these players try and rejuvenate their careers within the CFL and even the UFL, which is all about developing players for the NFL. And a lot of these guys just fall into the weeds. And for a guy like Shedeur, I don't think that'll ever truly happen, but it will get to the point similar to Colin Kaepernick where you kind of run out of options. And it's not because you run out of said options. It's because I don't think Shedeur is going to want to be a part of the UFL, similar to Colin Kaepernick, not wanting to be a part of the UFL. It wasn't the UFL at that time. It was the XFL or the AAFL. He didn't want to be a part of any of those little leagues. He wanted to be in the NFL. He wanted to be a starting quarterback that could make it to the Super Bowl. And then, of course, was never the case after 2012.
But, if he goes plays the CFL, if he gets hurt, he's got free healthcare.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
wait. Talk Radio WZZ. Yeah, that's a 97.7 HD2. We get talk all day long. You can download that app, too, in the App Store. Just look for Talk Radio WZZ.
That free healthcare, though, sounds good.
That's for you, Tom.
He's not even listening. Yeah. Well, he could be because he's on his way down. We got a meeting today. He's got to get to this building and tell us what we need to do moving forward, which is a lot. Because, of course, summertime might not have a lot of football, might not have a lot of conversation around too many sports, but we've got a lot of events going on here at WZZN and 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. We'll see you guys on the other side.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Where's the best place for sports? What about the best place for wings? If you answered Jefferson's for both, you're right. Jefferson's is also a great place for value. Every Monday, kids eat free with the purchase of an adult meal, and teachers bring your teacher ID, and you eat free every first Tuesday of the month up to $15. And Newmarket, Jefferson's will be opening a new location at 2190 County Road 65 very soon. Jefferson's, best place for sports, best place for wings. Hampton Cove, and soon in Newmarket. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at SensaGreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryant system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
Tom Abraham back from my friend Ross Roberts at Valley Equipment Rental. It's springtime, so let's get that garden tilled with a tiller from Valley Equipment. And while you're at it, snag a power washer for the house and the driveway. And if you're putting in a sprinkler system, they have the small trencher that you need. And you can even rent a Skag zero-turn mower and much more to get your property in shape. Valley Equipment, not just for the contractor, but the homeowner as well. 2 locations on the North and South Parkway. Valley Equipment Rental. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today, 256-208-9000. That's 256-208-9000.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said,
If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
This is Brent Musburger's VSIN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Braves over the Rockies 6-3 yesterday at Coors Field in Denver. The Rockies have dropped 7 straight and 15 of 16. They have the worst record of the major leagues at 4-24. Braves today $1.98 favorite. Rockies plus 164, 11 under the total at Coors Field in Denver. Kyle Larson and William Byron, the 6-1 co-favorites, win the NASCAR Cup Series race this week at Texas. They're both 6-1. Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, both plus 750. Ryan Blaney, 8-1. Journalism, the 3-1 favorite with the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Relatively warm as we head into the overnight and do the early part of your Wednesday morning. Temperatures only dropping into the low and mid-60s. Partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies. We head into your Wednesday afternoon. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. But to be quite honest, that activity is going to be somewhat difficult to come by. Most of us are going to stay dry. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-80s. A couple of degrees above where we should be this time of year as we get ready to close out the month of April. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. I'm home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Joe Hunk, John Abraham, 256-576-4977. Welcome to the Blitz.
Second hour, final hour, best hour here on the Blitz. John Abraham, Brian Temple.
Hello.
Temple Master here with you guys. One more hour to go as we get into more of the college conversation, more of the NFL conversation, and why not a little bit of Shaquille O'Neal doing everything in his power to live in your mind rent-free because he got another job, I guess. Jeez. It's not just the commercials. Man's hustling. He's doing everything. I know Brian's looking at me like, what is he getting into? I'll talk about that.
Who come in?
Let's talk about that here in a second. And you guys can join in on the conversation as well at 256-576-9777. Joe Hunk out of the box for the week as he's dealing with a new child that he helped bring into reality, which is the craziest sentence you could make that is actually very much true.
Densely populated up there in North Madison County.
Yeah, very much looking forward to the baby Hunk, a pillar. Can't wait to see it, and then it'll get into a cocoon and turn into a butterfly and fly away.
I feel sorry for his wife.
And maybe have a little afro. No, not afro. A mohawk.
Yeah.
But it's a girl, so it'll have to be a mohawk slash. What's the thing that kids like now?
Well, got the Tennessee waterfall.
Mullet.
The
mullet. There you go. Which
Tennessee waterfall.
There was a mullet competition at Talladega. If I knew about that going in, oh my gosh, Brian, I would have been a part of it.
It made Joe Dirt look like he was dressed for a wedding.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I mean, let me tell you about the people that were in Talladega. Whew, they were rowdy.
And I get it. These are my people.
These are your people.
These. I love the great tapestry. What is the human race?
The flannel,
but you know what?
Flannel,
tapestry and tartans.
Oh yeah.
But they wow. People express themselves in new and interesting ways.
Yeah, in the ways you'd expect, honestly, in
And some you
the state
don't.
of Alabama. And also some ways you would. I saw a lot of things, and
Yeah,
honestly.
a little anatomy and physiology. Just have to check.
Oh, yeah. There's a guy that told me, everybody that I met that was around us, everybody was so nice. We got some guys from Pensacola. We had some people from Memphis, which Mr. Irrelevant, also from Memphis, of course.
That's all right.
We met a lot of great people down there in Talladega, and there was a questionable shirt one of them wore that got them a lot of things they did not want to see. I can't say any of what I want to say on the radio.
No, I got the dump button over here.
Oh, well, the YouTube.
Of course, then the off-air alarm would go because we keep dumping.
Oh, the YouTube, though, would be having a wonderful time over on WZZN TV. Go and check that out. You can also find it on X and on our Facebook, as well as our Big Zone deals, which will get you big deals on the best places in all of North Alabama. We're talking Bubby's Diner. We're talking Full Moon. We're talking Flow Trampoline Park, and so much more. Head on over to our website, 977ESPN.com, and get yourself a fill of those Big Zone deals. This show, as always, presented by the wonderful people over at Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up at FlemingHSV.com. Fill out your free quote, and remember that Fleming always shows up. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why did he bring up Shaquille O'Neal? Are you asking yourself that, Brian?
Why did you bring up Shaquille O'Neal?
Because he's got a new job.
Oh, okay.
And, he loves to do things for free as well. I mean,
I love me some Shaq.
As long as he's in your mind, he's making money. Okay. Yeah. And he's obviously still selling shoes at Walmart as well, which they're quality enough.
Yeah,
so.
and insurance for the general.
And insurance for the general, and so much more. I actually have a list. This isn't the Tom Abraham show, but we might have a top 10 Tuesday.
Oh, there you go.
We'll get into that because he actually just got hired onto Sacramento State, which is a very interesting college at the moment because they also just brought in Jaden Rashada, former 5-star quarterback, who is obviously in the midst of some legal troubles with Florida as they were looking to pay him BOCO money to join the Gators. That didn't work out. He goes to a place called Georgia and plays for the Bulldogs. Lightly quotes plays for the Bulldogs.
He was there.
He was there. And now Sacramento State, of course, picks him up. They also pick up Shaquille O'Neal because, of course, Shaquille's son also transferred to the team to play some basketball. And Shaquille's not just over there for some random job, like side assistant, press release type of guy, analyst, PR. None of that.
Right.
No, he got hired as the GM.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, but more teams are going to that.
Yeah, but I feel like Sacramento State might already have it. You know what? Maybe they're not there yet. This is an FCS
the current
program.
GM not know that?
He probably knows that Shaq's in the building.
Shows up and his door card doesn't work anymore.
I don't know who the GM is in the first place over at Sacramento State, but now I know that O'Neal is a part of this wonderful
a lot
campus.
more teams are going to a general manager.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot going on, and we've heard multiple times from like Nick Saban and others. There's a lot more to manage now, and plus with all the NIL and the different transfer portals and everything, it's a full-time job to manage that stuff. You don't end up having any time to coach.
Well, I don't know if it's a full-time job for Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, it is good for Sacramento State to have a general manager.
I think it's good for their coach, but it sounds like it's good for Shaq too. I mean, Shaq seems to know where the money is. As well as he knows where a plate is.
It is reported to be an unpaid role. That's the interesting thing. And Shaquille, if anybody knows anything about business after or during their career,
absolutely,
it's Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah,
I mean, this guy knows what to do. He knows how to sell himself. He also knows how to be a wonderful person. And we've seen him in movies. We've seen him in commercials. We've seen him in TV shows, and
he's not
so much more.
He's not hurt. And I will compare this. I'll compare Shaquille O'Neal to the round mound of rebound, Charles Barkley.
There you go.
And every so often, everybody wants Charles Barkley to run for governor of Alabama. And his standard response is the same every time. I don't want a pay cut.
Exactly.
So, if you've got plenty of money, it's kind of, whatever that threshold is where it's enough money. There's another term that I can't use on the radio for that amount of money. But I mean, where you can say, I'm going to do what I want. And, If you could throw a couple of 4-letter words in there, you'll get what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of do what you want. And if you get to that point, what would you do? If you don't have to work for a living, or if you have to work minimal for a living, what would you do?
Yeah.
Would you go, it would be like a philanthropist, a really kick-ass philanthropist. Hi, I speak for a
Say
living.
that
How are
17 times now.
Right. So, but what would you do? Would you go, buy your own private island and unplug from the world? What would you do? And I think we found what Shaq wants to do. I mean, and it gives him an excuse to hang around and look at his son there, and probably go out there and shoot hoops every few afternoons. And it's all right.
Yeah,
I mean, what would you do?
To whatever he can do, and his wonderful bright future ahead of him. I have a list.
Sounds like his dream came true.
I have a list of every single commercial he's been in. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but
I'll hit the good ones.
I'm going to hit the good ones. Okay.
Yeah.
So his very first commercial deal, it looks to be with Pepsi. This was back in 1995 when he was actually playing. Yeah. This is when he was playing basketball.
Right.
Taco Bell was 1997.
Oh yeah. Right. Because he was doing right when they came out with that, the $5 box at Rocks.
Yes. See, this stuff. I wasn't born back then. That's the thing. But you're the one that was like, you think about it, and it is a thought that is in your mind that was just like, oh, that was just yesterday. It felt like
it's time to get the benefits of a classical education.
Exactly. He was in the Nestle Crunch commercial.
Yes.
I love how it just
my
like
childhood. This is my college, and this is my early working career. This is my life, man. This is what was on TV around me all the time.
Okay, what do we got here? Burger King. I can only imagine what he did with that. He probably was the Burger King. Let's be real.
I'm going to go to the internet here. I need to find. My mind has a picture of Shaq with a Burger King crown on. I'm going to the internet.
I feel like because that's 1990s was around whenever the crowns got really popular. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1992, actually, going back even farther than what I thought was his first commercial with Pepsi Cola. Reebok, of course. Icy Hot. We still see these ones, and this was back in 2003. He got that deal. He's continued on with the Burger King and the Nestle Crunch throughout the years. Mighty Milk and Muscle Milk nutritional supplement drinks. I didn't see these ones. Print ads. I don't remember those. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's done some PSAs throughout the year. Comcast, Gold Bond men's lotion. Diddy's perking up right now thinking about that, as well as maybe Deshaun Watson. Done plenty of Gold Bonds commercial. JCPenney, Ring Alarm Security. I mean, golly, Frosted Flakes and Papa John's, because he turned into Papa John for a few years, I guess. I don't.
Just for a hot minute.
His name's not even John. It kind of was a disrespect to all of the Johns around the world. You'd think that maybe John Travolta would be the next man up, after the original Papa John.
Yeah. All right. Back to Shaq and Burger King.
Oh, we're still.
The Burger King commercial.
Ooh, it's a man that can jam over any man. Can you dig it? Who's the cat that wants sourdough, bacon, and all that? I'm talking about Shack Pack. The new Shack Pack. Grilled sourdough bacon cheeseburger, crispy fries with free warm cheddar cheese dipping sauce, and a Coca-Cola Classic. You gotta have a Shack Pack, baby.
Gotta have a Shack Pack. Oh, wow, that sounds good.
I'm gonna get that out on the socials. Don't worry, you're going to see that. That's gonna be your jam.
Except for I did work for Burger King, so I know everything that they put into the burgers and all of that stuff. I'm not dissing Burger King. I think it was a fine establishment, but when you have Burger King for lunch for an entire year straight,
it
gets a little old.
Yeah.
So I had to create my own.
Not once a month. I got to get a Whopper.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Whopper, it's one of those things. You have to get
they're Whoopers. But
you got to
get a long story.
You have to get everything on the Whopper, though. You can't just go with if you're a stickler for the pickles, for the onions and the tomatoes, you can't go with a plain Whopper. It's just straight up. It's meat
hold
and
the pickles,
a bun.
hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way.
You can't have it your way with a Whopper. You have to have the whole.
You gotta have a Whopper all the way.
So my specialty sandwich from Burger King consisted of the classic chicken sandwich roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 chicken nuggets. Put them on there. Perfect spread.
Ooh.
3 pieces of cheese. Bam, bam.
Yeah.
cook some bacon up,
Yeah.
mayonnaise, lechuga. And at the point that I was having this, we had this thing called the Farmhouse Whopper or the Farmhouse Sandwich.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
It had these flakes. I think it also had an egg on it.
Yeah,
And it had this special
like fried egg.
sauce.
Yeah.
The special sauce I put on it because the special sauce was the best thing about it.
Okay, hold on. Special sauce, $1,000 dressing, isn't it? Isn't it?
I don't think. I mean, it was.
May have started life as $1,000 dressing.
It was a lighter version of that,
Okay.
you know, because I know everybody has their special sauce. It was the Farmhouse sauce that they used to have.
$1,000 dressing and ranch dressing is just a way that Americans have found a way to put gravy on salad.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
No, that is true.
It's basically gravy.
I feel like everybody's got themselves a special sauce. I wonder which one is the best. It'd be it'd be like a Good Mythical Morning video. It's like we're trying every single special sauce from every different establishment. That includes Zaxby's. That definitely includes Chick-fil-A, and very much so Full Moon Barbecue. And you look like you had another one.
Oh, gosh. I don't know.
Everybody's got one. You can throw out a name, anything.
I'm old. All of a sudden, the Swiss cheese memory kicked in. I'm sorry.
Just right through there.
It popped out of gear.
Well, we hope that Ryan Callahan from Go Vols 247 doesn't have that Swiss cheese memory because he's got a lot of details he's got to throw our way as we get into a little bit more of the draft talk from the Tennessee Vols perspective, as well as their spring, how it wraps up, who they're looking to add on to maybe help out this Josh Heupel-led squad without Nico Iamaleava. Remember that name? We haven't brought that one up in a while. And a little bit more on the baseball side of things. It's all coming up next here on the Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and WZZN TV.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve. And we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Would you call a plumber for a root canal? The same goes for selling your timberland or farm. Choose someone who understands your property and can help you on the front end so you can capitalize on the back end. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction. As a guide, I have put many hunters in position to take a shot. It's time for you to take your shot. Let's talk about putting you in position to sell your property. Call me at 256-609-0512. Remember, Bo knows land.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at Your Home Window Company. When it comes to replacement windows, exterior doors, or new window screens, Your Home Window is the answer anywhere in Huntsville, Athens, Decatur, or Hartselle. Your Home Window windows and doors are made here in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. When replacing those old windows or doors, Your Home Window has the solution for you. In-home estimates are always free and financing is available. Learn more at yourhomewindow.com and see clearly with Your Home Window. Visit yourhomewindow.com to make an appointment today.
Ford Motor Company. From America, for America. Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford with a real quick quiz. Out of all the manufacturers, do you know which auto company employs the most hourly workers in America? Ford. Do you know which company assembles the most vehicles in this country? Ford. That's not just a coincidence. It's a commitment. A 120-year-old commitment to build in America for America. And during this unprecedented moment in automotive history, you stand to benefit big time. Woody Anderson Ford is now offering employee pricing. You pay what we pay. We've got over 190 F-150s for you to choose from with generous finance rates and the best deals of the year on America's best-selling truck for 48 years in a row. Employee pricing can save you thousands off MSRP, and with over 600 Fords for you to choose from, there's a good chance you'll find just exactly what you're looking for. This offer ends May 31st, so hurry in. Woody Anderson Ford.
Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We all the way turned up on a Tuesday here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, as well as the Blitz. John Abraham, Brian Temple here with you guys, courtesy of Fleming Roofing and Restoration. You guys can also be watching over on WZZN TV on YouTube, on our Facebook, on our X, and you're going to want to do that because we're about to have a guest on that knows a lot about what's going on up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and within the SEC in this insane baseball season that just can't seem to find ground at the top. Who is the true number one, and how do we round out the rest of the top 10 within the AP poll? And it is one Mr. Ryan Callahan joining us from GoVols 247. Ryan, good to have you back on. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you guys?
We are doing wonderful, and let's hop right into the draft talk. Of course, it was a huge year for the SEC. A lot of people saying that, oh, well, the football side of things are kind of falling flat, but then 79 picks later, and the SEC still dominates. First things first, talk about the entire reign of the SEC continuing in college football.
Yeah, you can't say you're surprised, but and not just the SEC. To be fair, the Big Ten. We heard a lot of SEC and Big Ten players' names called throughout the weekend, and that's kind of that obviously is kind of where things are headed in college football with the realignment that we've seen, and just how deep and strong those two conferences are. But yeah, especially the SEC, and it's no surprise. It's nothing new, and they just continue to kind of stockpile talent, and that's. What will be interesting to see is if in 4 or 5 years that continues to be the case, because we haven't seen the full effects yet of the transfer portal. In one sense, SEC teams continue to pick off talent from other schools. In other cases, some players don't stick around at SEC schools because no one can really retain depth well enough, and sometimes guys end up leaving the conference to go elsewhere. So how the numbers sort of shake out in the long run will be interesting, but obviously the SEC is showing no signs of weakening in that way. And pretty impressive the number of draft picks, and especially early draft picks, they continue to put out each year.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think it was interesting to see the amount of dominance that the SEC and the Big Ten have had within this draft, because the transfer portal and this NIL era, it's kind of looked like, these teams, these smaller teams might be able to pony out some money now to bring in, or maybe their fan bases might be able to throw out some money. I know SMU, not a very talked about school, but it is a school with a heavy backing, but I thought it would even out just a little bit more across these conferences, but so far that's just not been the case. And just the rich keep getting richer.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's an interesting sort of two-way street there, where obviously the SEC teams you have trouble, especially early in guys' careers, sometimes getting them to wait around for a chance to play. And that obviously leads to some guys entering the transfer portal who 5 years ago would have stuck around and maybe would have had a chance to become draft picks in the SEC instead of leaving to go elsewhere. But on the same token, you also see the SEC programs continuing to pick off talent from lower level schools or from Group of 5 schools or other Power 4 conferences. Even they go take away players from the ACC and wherever else, and so that maybe offsets any losses you see there. So I will be fascinated to see kind of in the long run how that balances out. But the bottom line is the transfer portal does work two ways, and sometimes you see the SEC teams finding future NFL players from Division II and FCS schools and wherever else they can find talent. And so they're sort of just, using those teams as their minor league system. And so the number of draft picks kind of balances out as you add talent. In addition to losing some depth where guys might have developed into draft picks if they'd stayed too.
Yeah, and I love the Stone Cold reference right there. That is the bottom line. And the bottom line for Tennessee is, you might not have had a lot of quantity coming out of the draft, but you did have quality. And 4 players that I'm looking at very highly going to the next level. But there is a lot more that are going to be picked up over time. But this also means that Tennessee is going to be able to retain some of the talent, even though not in the quarterback position. All around, this roster is still a little bit young, but of course needs to build up a little bit more throughout these years with Josh Heupel.
Yeah, and I think that's overall the story. I think for the weekend at the NFL draft is good showing for Tennessee in terms of getting some early draft picks, like you said, to get a first rounder in James Pierce Jr. Obviously a good step, and Tennessee needs to continue to put guys in the early rounds. If they're going to continue to close the gap on the Georgias and Alabamas of the world, you've got to keep putting guys in the early rounds. And then second round, Omar Norman Lott, defensive lineman. That was one that probably would have surprised some people if you told them that this time a year ago. But he was always pretty highly regarded as an NFL prospect, and continued to show that even though he wasn't a starter for Tennessee this past year, was a heavy rotational guy and played well for them over the past 2 years. And then obviously Dylan Sampson, SEC Offensive Player of the Year, and then Dante Thornton Jr., a long, fast wide receiver, go in the 4th round. So that's the good part. The downside is you did lose some other guys who didn't get drafted, and Brew McCoy, Cooper Mays, some guys who were important to Tennessee over the past few years, not getting drafted. So the message is simple. You've made progress, but you've got to continue to upgrade the roster, continue to bring in more and more talent. If you're going to chase down some of the other teams at the top of the board, there you got to the college football playoff this past season, and Tennessee's clearly made strides under Josh Heupel, but there's still a gap there between Tennessee and the rest of the teams at the top of the conference when it comes to putting players in the NFL draft. And that number 4 is good, but it's got to continue to get better if Tennessee's going to continue to make up ground.
No doubt. Ryan Callahan from Go Vols 247 is our guest, and yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, four picks in the NFL draft, I believe, puts them at 8 out of the SEC, and there's a lot of teams that didn't even get close to the playoffs that are ahead of them on that list. But regardless. James Pierce Jr., I mean, this is one of the guys that seemed like one of the best pickups in the NFL. I mean, it looked like he would have been a top round pick last year as well if he left, but he kind of falls in draft stock. But do you still think that it might be one of the bigger pickups for this? I believe it was the Atlanta Falcons that picked him up, which is pretty huge for their defensive line.
Yeah, they clearly needed some pass rush help. So as far as the situation for him, he probably fell into a pretty good spot where he's going to have some opportunities because they just got to upgrade their pass rush. And yeah, it's probably disappointing to him, looking back at last year where he was projected around this time. Now, early mock drafts are, they're worth the paper they're written on, which is to say they're not even written on paper. But yeah, they are. So they are. They're not valuable at all, but the bottom line is, he had a lot of top 5 projections this time of year, and or this time last year, going into his final year at Tennessee, and that his stock slipped a bit. Some of that because of on-field stuff, but some I think because of some off-field concerns, and so that's probably disappointing for him, but obviously still goes in the first round. It's hard to knock the talent, but. I don't think he took full advantage of this past year in terms of, showing that he had a well-rounded set of pass rush moves and things like that. There's some concern there that, is he just kind of a one-trick pony? Has he become enough of a technician as a pass rusher? And then, the off-field concerns got a lot of talk in recent months. Is he a high character guy? Is he going to put in the work necessary to be a great player in the NFL where talent alone will only get you so far? So that's a little disappointing for him. I'm sure that he slipped as far as he did, but some people were projecting him to fall outside the first round. So I think a good sign or a decent outcome for him, all things considered. There was a chance he could have maybe slipped into the middle of the first round, but all things considered, going first round has to be considered a win at this point because of how far his stock had fallen in some people's minds. You know, there was some concern that he might go in the second round. So still go in the first round, not bad, and a pretty good spot for him, all things considered, with the Falcons.
The more I look at this Tennessee team, the more I'm thinking running back university. Like, is that kind of far-fetched? I mean, the last 3 running backs we've seen that have led this team to victory are now in the NFL, and that includes Jabari Small, that includes Jalen Wright, and now, of course, Dylan Sampson going to the Browns. You know, is this that big of a deal for this Josh Heupel offense to continue reloading with big names at the running back position?
It's a good sign for them. If you told people a few years ago when they had those guys all in the same backfield that, hey, Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, and Dylan Sampson are all going to get a shot in the NFL, and 2 of them are going to get drafted, you would say that's pretty impressive. I probably wouldn't expect that. So those guys were not big time prospects coming out of high school, and Tennessee kind of turned them into, especially Wright and Sampson, turned them into really good NFL prospects, and that's a good sign for Tennessee's offense. That's sort of the I guess the almost overlooked secret of Tennessee's offense. I think people, when they think about Josh Heupel's offense, they think of the fast pace and the downfield throws, but their secret sauce, the way they've always seen it, is the run game. That they kind of, when you look at what they do when that offense is really working at its best, they kind of they hurry up to the line to run the ball. And that's not what you think of necessarily when you just kind of think of the perception of that offense, but that the NFL draft's kind of reflected that. They've had actually more trouble putting wide receivers in the NFL the past couple of years compared to running backs. Obviously they had the success with Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman a couple of years ago, but yeah, since then it's been more running back success, and that kind of reflects the way the offense is played. They expect to put receivers in the draft too in the future, for sure, but no surprise that they're having some success at the running back position. And Dylan Sampson was a pretty good prospect coming out of high school, but turned into an even better player, a more well-rounded player once he got to Tennessee. So that's definitely a feather in the cap for this staff, and something for them to continue to try to sell. They aren't known for bringing in 4- and 5-star running backs under this staff, but they've continued to kind of churn them out when it comes to putting them in the NFL.
Yeah, and I appreciate the contribution as well, because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. We got Tillman, and now we got Sampson, and I'm just thinking, hey, SEC, like these are the picks you want to see. And I still talk very highly of Jalen Hyatt, regardless of the use that he is getting up in New York. But we've gotten through this conversation. We have yet to bring up Nico Iamaleava. And I'm glad that we're kind of moving past that at this point, because now there's a new quarterback in the building in Joey Aguilar. But now that spring football is kind of wrapped up, what do we really know about this quarterback out of Appalachian State?
Yeah, it's a really interesting fit, and obviously, there's 2 ways to look at that. On one hand, you're getting a starting quarterback from another program. I think some Tennessee fans, their initial reaction to the move was, you're kind of getting UCLA's leftovers. They got Nico in their minds, they're upgrading, and you're getting the guy that they kind of cast aside, and that's the best you could do. And so there was some disappointment, I think, from some fans that they weren't able to get a Power 4 starter or someone else from another program that wasn't, just simply looking for a chance to play after Nico sort of claimed that job. But on the flip side, would it be perceived a little differently maybe if you just pried him away from Appalachian State, where he did pretty well the last 2 years? That maybe that's an interesting twist to this. And the bottom line is he was in line to start at UCLA until they just decided to try to upgrade. And we'll see how it works out. That's going to be a fascinating kind of split screen view all year. I'm sure we're going to be looking at is how Nico does at UCLA with the surrounding cast he might have there. Maybe not being quite at the level of what he would have had at Tennessee around him, but still having talent around him there in the Big Ten. And then how Joey Aguilar does at Tennessee. And I think when you look at the system fit, I kind of look at the profile too, compared to what Josh Heupel has worked with at multiple stops now. Aguilar kind of has the profile of what Heupel has really had some of his biggest successes with. The kind of a less heralded prospect, but a guy who's got some mobility, has a good arm, can make all the throws. The key for him is going to be just cutting down on the turnovers. He threw 14 interceptions last year for an Appalachian State team that took a step back. He threw 10 interceptions the year before, 33 touchdowns that year, though, in his first year at App State. So if he can look like the quarterback he was 2 years ago, and if Tennessee's system can help him cut down on interceptions, they've generally had low interception totals under Josh Heupel. If they can do that, they've got a lot to work with in Joey Aguilar. So I'm really fascinated by this. I think the way I would put it is they've maybe got a lower ceiling at the quarterback position without Nico, and certainly not the NFL talent. But you could argue at least they might right now have the better college quarterback in Joey Aguilar, and that's an interesting dynamic. So I'm fascinated to see how that plays out. And obviously, the big variable in this is, will Nico take a big step forward this year? We don't know what would have happened at Tennessee, but based on what they've done so far, Aguilar's track record is probably just as impressive, if not more so, than what Nico's done at this point.
Yeah, we talked about the transfer portal a little bit earlier in the show, and we've talked about it, of course, just extensively throughout the years. And I mean, it's all about quarterbacks or players finding success at other schools, and it works out for a lot. I mean, look at the quarterbacks that were picked in the NFL draft. Almost all of them, except for two, transferred to different schools to find that final success. But there's still the thought in the back of my mind that you can transfer, and it's not always sunshine and rainbows on the other side, even though, Cali, I hear, is a pretty nice place.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see how that plays out for Nico, just because it could be great. I mean, there are people at Tennessee that saw what he was doing this offseason, and they really think he's ready to take a big step forward this year. So does that happen at UCLA? Does it click for him there? Or does the switch to a new offense with maybe not quite as much talent around him across the board, does that maybe hurt him? And obviously you're still facing good competition in the Big Ten, so that's not going to be a cakewalk there. So I'm really interested in how that's going to play out. And then also, some people think he may have hurt his chances of being a 3-and-out guy for the draft. That this year is not going to be the end of his college career now because of this move. Again, we'll have to wait and see about that. But sure, that's a real possibility. Does he maybe have to come back for a fourth year now? And if he does he end up in the transfer portal again in the offseason, going to a higher level program like he probably thought he was going to find this spring? It's all fascinating. And now his brother's there with him, having left Arkansas. It's just, like you said, we weren't talking about Nico for a while, but we've got the whole offseason to talk about it, and the whole fall, really, because this is a story that is not going to go away. Tennessee fans that are tired of hearing it, I've told them, boy, if you hate to talk about it now, you're not going to like the first few game broadcasts this season, because this story is just going to keep coming up. Yeah. It's going to be the talk of SEC media days and everything after that.
Yeah, lots of comparisons. I am waiting to hear every single one of them. But for Joey Aguilar, of course, he's the name now, the new guy in town, and he's got some wide receivers to work with. This is an upgrade from what he had at Appalachian State. He's still got Chris Brazzell, but again, you don't have the names like the Squirrel Whites and the others that got drafted in the NFL. What does this wide receiver room really consist of?
Yeah, a lot of youth, and I think they feel some talent, but that's the big question mark for this offense, and maybe this team as much as anything is, can those young wide receivers produce? And they're banking a lot on Mike Matthews, who's a former 24/7 Sports composite 5-star coming out of high school. They're certainly hoping he can put it together this year, but 7 catches for 90 yards or so last year as a true freshman, just didn't get many opportunities, even with some injuries, didn't get many chances until they were forced to play him a little more at the end of the year. And then Braylon Staley, a redshirt freshman, another second-year guy that only got a chance in the college football playoff against Ohio State after some injuries and transfer portal departures. So what those two guys can do is going to go a long way towards determining how good this offense is. Also, Chris Brazzell, you mentioned him, second year in the offense. We saw Dante Thornton in his second year after he transferred from Oregon kind of take a step forward last year for Tennessee. They're certainly hoping Brazzell has a similar progression in year 2 at Tennessee after not doing a whole lot coming out of Tulane last year. And then behind those guys, you got a couple true freshmen in Travis Smith Jr. and Radarius Jackson, guys that showed flashes this spring, but we've not seen them rely a lot on true freshmen at wide receiver. This year, they might have to. You've got Amari Jefferson, an Alabama transfer, coming off a hip surgery in the fall. Didn't see a lot of him this spring because he was still limited, so not sure you're going to get a lot of him out of this year. And fans are frustrated right now that they're not getting additional help at that position in the transfer portal. They had a couple wide receivers lined up to visit both ended up calling off their visits before they ever made it to campus. So not a lot of quality out there in the spring portal window as well. So not sure what they're going to get, if anything, to supplement what they have at that position. So they're short on depth, short on experience. It's a precarious situation, but they do have some young talent that they need to come through.
Ryan, before we get you out of here, there is some good. It is this baseball team. It's not all good, but it's still a good team. But of course, they've gotten into the meat and potatoes of the SEC schedule. They're facing off against Auburn, man. This is a 5-7. This is a big time game. It's a bulletin board right here. Talk a little bit about what the Vols need to do to get the win over the number 7 or number 5. It doesn't really matter within the SEC. They're all number 1 in Auburn.
Yeah, it's and Auburn's catching them at an interesting time too, because they're coming off a series loss at LSU. They've lost 2 of their past 3 weekend series. So Tennessee's at a bit of an interesting spot right now. They're having some pitching issues in spots when their rotation is working as planned. They still have a lot of pitching, and they're really good, especially on Friday and Saturday. Sunday, as they showed this past weekend against LSU, a little bit more of a struggle. A.J. Russell coming off an injury, still figuring it out, and he went less than 2 innings Sunday, and the bullpen didn't give him enough help. So some pitching problems here and there. They've also had some fielding problems pop up as well. So they're still a really talented team. You could argue maybe the most talented team in college baseball. They're right up there with one of the most talented teams. But either way, they're still breaking in a lot of first-year starters or guys that have not done it at Tennessee before this year, and that's starting to show. And they have had some bumps in the road lately. So you kind of expected this at some point, that mid-season or whatever they would find some adversity. They've found it a little bit. They've slipped a little bit in the polls. So we'll see kind of how they respond. I still think this is a team that could very well end up in Omaha again at the end of the year. But they have had a little more adversity lately, and how they respond these next few weeks is going to be pretty telling, because the SEC it's a meat grinder, as you know. The SEC it's not forgiving to schedule weekend after weekend, and you're going to take some lumps. You're not going to win every series. So how they bounce back from this will I think give us an idea of maybe how they can respond to say a loss one to get into postseason play where things aren't going to be any easier.
Yeah, no doubt. You get thrown around all over the place, and then you finally get a break if you play Missouri, which Tennessee does not, and then you get spit out, and you're on the other end of it, and hopefully you got a pretty good spot going into the postseason. But Ryan, always great having you on, man. You give us the lay of the land up in Knoxville. Let the people know where they can find you on socials and online.
Yeah, on Twitter at Ryan Callahan 247, and of course check out the website at govols247.com. Lots going on and plenty to check out on the site. And sign up right now for $1 for the first month to get all that coverage.
Great stuff, man. Glad you were able to get out of your busy schedule to talk with us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good stuff. As always, Ryan Callahan, go and check him out. GoVols247 is the place to find him. The place to find us is here in the studio, but we got to pay some bills, so you'll find us on the other side of the break here on the Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait. only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. If any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today, 256-208-9000, 256-208-9000.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Hey there, everybody. Bob Baumhauer here, letting you know that we understand that times are tough and we truly believe value matters. So, by popular demand, we brought back our Inflation Bites menu featuring scratch-made meals that will make the whole family smile and your wallet, too. Menu items start at just $7.99, and any entree comes with a free beverage. Try our classic tailgate burger for just $8.99 or our hearty Bam Bam chicken platter for $9.99. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Here we go.
See, Joe doesn't do this one right. But also, we'd probably be flagged every single day if we let it wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
No, you. Flagged on YouTube. Flagged on Facebook. But you know what? It's the Blitz. John Abraham, Brian Temple here with you guys here on a Tuesday on 97.7 ESPN. The Zone had some great conversations with some great guests today. Make sure you guys check out both Go Vols 247 as well as Horns 247 as they were giving us all the information on what we needed to know out in Texas Austin, Texas, to be specific. It's such a big place. You got to be specific about those counties and cities and all of that jazz. And, of course, up in Knoxville with Ryan Callahan, wonderful, wonderful stuff from both those guys. Brian, we've gotten through our first show of the week, just me and you. How you feeling about this?
We got 4 minutes to run it into the dirt. No, I feel good. It feels good. It's been a long time since I've been awake this hour of the morning and actually productive.
Yeah.
Usually it's, doing a little something around the house, but, this has been fun. And for a guy who doesn't really know anything about sports, I feel like.
Wait, you don't know anything about sports?
I don't know almost nothing about sports.
You're telling me they put a guy behind the board to do a sports talk show?
Here's the thing. I've been here for 2.5 years now, and I've been surviving by just repeating things I've heard from other people.
Yeah.
And just like,
that's most of the job.
I'm basically a trained parrot at this point without the plumage.
Well, parrots do get pretty old in their ways. So,
Yeah.
You know what? It was a wonderful show, and it's not over just yet.
I'm glad I get to come back and do it again tomorrow.
I know. We're going to have a whole 2 hours for you guys tomorrow, a whole lot of new stories for you, as well as a whole lot more phone calls. If you guys join in, 256-576-9777, because we're going 2 guests throughout the week because, without Joe Hunk, the only way we can really fill that void is by getting more information and then, talking a little bit about his baby. We haven't called him yet. I've only talked to him whenever I gave him the congratulations. I wanted to let him have his time with the kids and his wife. So going to let that simmer for him.
And that's what we want to do. We want to give Hunk the chance to have a first full week. Because, not only to get the magic of having another kid in the house, but he needs to take care of his wife. She's done the lion's share of the work. There's an old joke about how the man is involved and how much the woman's involved. But she's done a lot, and she's going to continue to do the work. And God bless her. I got a chance to meet her at our station Christmas party. What a beautiful individual. She happened to be to put up with Joe and that whole passel of little Joes running around the house. But
the boy he's definitely a little Joe.
Oh,
he's helped out with our show a few times.
Ollie and I are buds. That's a sharp kid. Especially, I'm going back to when you guys were snowed in, and Joe was from the Fortress of Solitude in North Madison County.
Yes,
and just the frequent appearances by Ollie was the highlight of my day.
Yeah,
as I'm sitting there snowed in at my own Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, we have those appearances every once in a while. Whenever he's out of school, Ollie's over in the other room, usually playing some Spider-Man or some other games on Roblox and stuff like that. And then every once in a while, Ollie forgets maybe that his dad's doing a show and he decides to come on in here and start asking him questions. And I would have done the same thing.
Well, here's the thing. That's one thing I love about WZZN.
Yeah.
About 97.7 The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN, 97.7 HD2 is we're a family radio station. And we work together. We work really hard, and there's not many of us, and we're tight.
Yeah.
And so it feels like family. And I like that because we're here. We're part of this community. We love you guys and we want to be a part of your family. And we're glad to have you as part of our family.
I couldn't say it any better. We are local.
You pretty better.
You said you almost brought a tear to my eye. If I knew how to cry, then I would have probably teared up a little
You're an
bit.
Abraham. That's beaten out of you at a young age.
Whenever the guy burnt me with the cigarette, I was just sitting there. I was like,
that's interesting.
And I blew it off and I was like, yeah, it's all right. I don't feel pain. And then he started talking about his Irish ways and all that stuff. I was like, you ever watch Rally? He was like, dude, I love Rally. Well, I don't want to do an Irish voice. Oh, yeah. No. It'll just probably offend a few people. But he was like,
I end up sounding like Billy Connolly. And it's just, I have to bleep myself all the time.
He was like, Rally's awesome. He's like, Rally's huge over in Ireland. And I was like, this is my person right here. Like, dude, we're talking about some this. And then Summer started straying away. And I was like, okay, I gotta catch up to her because we're not going to be able to find each other.
Okay, speaking of racing, and I like talking to John because I get a chance to catch up on racing again. And where are you in like Le Mans and like F1 and all that?
I dabble in it every once in a while. Yeah. I'm a fan of just anything that is automotive. Right. But if
racing in Europe and racing in America are two different things.
Totally different things.
Even the road tracks here, like out in California and stuff, it's different than NASCAR. People talk about, Bristol's like a cereal bowl, but
which, by the way, Bristol's going to be a cereal bowl holding a baseball game in August. So there's going to be a few performances.
Right.
All right, we're fixing the roof back there.
Well,
Appreciate those guys.
and see, that's another thing too. We actually can go. No, we don't just have to worry about working with our owner. We talk to him every day, and he's in the hall with us. He's around the water cooler.
Oh yeah,
and he came through here a few minutes ago to see how it's feeling. Even if his schedule was different, just say, "Hey, how you doing? How you holding up? I know you're doing a double. Are you doing all right?" And so you don't get that in a corporate environment.
Golly, he never asked me how I'm doing when I'm doing the triples all
Well,
week
he doesn't care
long.
about you.
Well, he knows that my dad's probably asking about. Oh no, he's not. We're all out here. We'll be back 22
Speaking
hours.
of your dad, he's at Baumhauer's coming up here in about an hour.
Heck yes.
Go get you some Baumhauer's. See you later.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we